Hello， 大家好，我是 Myan。在2025 CRL One Up 中，皮卡大师 Tourist 一路披荆斩棘，击败法老等一众高手，最终取得冠军。让我们重新回顾 Tourist 精彩的表现。如果喜欢这类题材，也不妨多多支持。话不多说，我们马上开始。
Do we see Tourist using a Bridgeman deck in game number 1 or game number 2? Or is it about the mind games of making Sosa always have to be ready for the Bridgeman, but then never using it?
Sosa, of course, was part of that CRL where we said goodbye to all the German players on day one back in 2023. A shocking one where we lost Not Afraid, who was one of the Chinese players, and then we lost Morten, Sosa, and Faust, all on day one back in 2023. So very excited to see Sosa back in the mix. And as you said, Tourist kind of coming into the fray, even though he has been a name in the community for quite some time.
Yeah, Sosa coming out with the most popular deck in Clash Royale currently, the Evo Witch Royal Giant, sorry. But it's interesting, he has the Monk version instead of Skelly King. We see Tourist with RG as well. This is a lot of pressure. Does this Fisherman lock? No, it locks on the other Fisherman. But he should be able to...
Fish boy to fish boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad defense. But this is kind of a tough start for Sosa here.
Yeah, big defense Sosa there. Looks like is what his name stands for, bottom of the screen. Not able to defend that push too well. 2006 to 3052 as the Goblin Hut comes back out. I'm still thrown off by the sound of the Goblin Hut. You know, like,
yeah.
You know most all the sounds in the game, and this is one that I'm still getting used to, so... And the rework of the graphic. I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan that they made it happen somehow. So
it really is just a new card. Okay, so
yeah, truly.
Here we see a Monk ability, but wow, Sosa's actually smart here. He's actually waiting to play his Monk ability. Will it stay alive long enough? Yes, it does. It does take out all the Spear Gobs. But this Fisherman, I mean, another reason why Royal Giant's so strong is just because Fisherman is a great counter versus Evo Witch. One of the only ways you can actually stop her from continually healing, and Fisherman does synergize best with Royal Giant.
Perfect log there from Tourist. The Fireball comes in as well. That is great predictive plays. Evo RG on the tower, gonna get at least one more shot, and there it is, 778, 2653. Sosa sitting there trying to, it's kind of one of those like smiling through pain, probably trying to just act like it wasn't that big of a deal as he tries to get back on offense right now. Monk doing a decent job kind of clearing that Goblin Hut off the board, but the cross-court Fisherman from Tourist, and right now it just feels like Sosa's getting a bit outplayed.
Yeah, and here comes another Royal Giant with the Fisherman. Barbarian Barrel gonna try to take that out, but it will survive. So he has to play another Fisherman to pull off the opposing Fisherman, allowing the Monk to stay alive and knock back the RG. It almost gets a shot despite that. But as we're heading into overtime, Sosa has so much damage needed for this comeback. It's seemingly impossible.
Yeah, and I mean, that Evo Hunter is not going to help either. Evo Hunter doing some great work on that Evo RG. Now the Monk in to push it back. Evo Hunter still on the board, and that is, I think, going to pretty much sew up game number 1. I mean, obviously anything can happen. This is Clash Royale, but right now Sosa is just having a very difficult time breaking through at all.
Wait a second.
Another RG comes down. This could be a moment.
Wait a second. Evo Witch ends up surviving here. Fireball number 2 does come down, though, and Evo Witch was not able to heal up enough. And Tour's very happy with the second Fireball clearing off the board. That was the only chance Sosa really has. Maybe he can run it back. Maybe he can get one more Evo Witch push to maybe make something happen here in Triple Elixir.
Yeah, that was actually the moment where you're like, oh wow, is the caster curse going to come in right now? And all of a sudden Sosa's going to break through. Nice Fireball there, as you said. Tourist with a big smile on his face, probably letting us and his team know that, wow, okay, felt the pressure there for a bit. Fisherman pulls in the RG of Tourist, but I think the Larry's is going to do enough there. Sosa gets some decent damage on the right-hand side, but still 1989 to 390 HP. Tourist firmly in control, and it looks like now finally Sosa might be throwing in the towel.
Yeah, Log's gonna come through. RG gets a hit, and Tourist taking game number 1 in this best of 3. And then once again, it's just so interesting, but a lot of the time in the mirror matchups, it is whoever's more aggressive. And I think that Tourist knows that. And he really was able to apply a lot of pressure. Sosa seemingly just on the back foot defending most of that last match.
Suspicious Bush making its way to CRL 2025. You love to see it. Actually, one of my least favorite cards to play against, but one of my favorite cards to be in the game.
Yep.
It's just annoying enough to where I'm always like, man, do I really want to spend the elixir on it? But the damage that those two guys will do is just enough to make you have to spend it. So I'm very excited and curious to see what this deck actually is at the top of our screen.
Yeah, Tourist with some interesting variations of decks so far. I'm liking it. And Sosa here with what seemingly a maybe just a solid 3-card cycle with the Little Prince, with the maybe a minor poison, maybe a minor rocket. I would assume a poison here though.
Tesla doesn't pop to really do much of anything there, as this boss bandit is going to get on tower right hand side. Sosa misses the Valk, but it kind of helps with the Skarmy question mark. Wow, no, it doesn't. 702, 1988. I was trying to make some lemonade out of lemons there, Juicy, but that was just horrible.
Oh man, yeah, this is not looking good. Sosa's trying to make a comeback here with the minor guards out of the lane, but that's just going to give the Evil Witch even more value. Wait a second, Little Prince somehow winning the 1v1, but I mean, let's be real. Sosa, he's down a lot of damage. He is up a little bit of elixir. The problem is this kind of minor control type of deck, it's not good at making comebacks. Even if you are up elixir, it's more focused on perfect defense and controlling the match and chipping away throughout. And unfortunately for Sosa, we have not seen a perfect defense so far.
So just to like give a little bit of context of the Molite DMing of Pedro, just because I see people talking about it in the chat still. Apparently Pedro made a video a couple weeks ago. It shows him, Lucas, and Wallace holding Mohammed Light, who is a baby.
What?
in the thumbnail. Maybe they're saying that I don't actually know the translation of the video title, but maybe that's why we saw a little bit of BF between the two friends there.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Amazing stuff. Thank you for the lore, chat.
Shout out to the chat. The chat knows all. And honestly, I don't know. I just got, okay, it is Rocket. Interesting.
Wow.
Maybe there's a way that, I mean, I feel like I was kind of counting Sosa out, kind of just waiting for the game to end here. But maybe there is a way for this comeback to happen. You know, Tourist does not have a big spell. There's a lot of defense to be done and a lot of minor rocks to happen on the offense. But, you know, anything can happen in Triple Elixir with minor rocket.
I mean, yeah, this could happen. He's got no big spell to break through. The Little Prince can put in some work. Those Teslas being pre-cycled early. Now the Suspicious Bush. We saw Tourist try to work it in behind the Witch on the right-hand side, but it didn't work. Now this is a big push on the left. Never mind.
Giving up.
All that just being said for nothing.
Finish my sentence first, but I've seen Clown practicing a lot.
Is he in the car?
Yeah, I think he's in the car. But he's been
Bro,
practicing
he's in
a
the
lot,
car.
so I'm sure he'll be fine. I see him practicing every day.
This is incredible. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Man, I hope he has like a good internet provider or mobile provider, because a lag out here would be just truly sad.
Juice, I gotta swap my headphones.
Alrighty, so we see a miner coming through on the right hand side, and we do see a deck, you know, pretty much the deck that he's known for. Minor Rocket is what Clown is using, and we got Tourist with Splash Shard, no Tornado variation with the Baby Drag, Ice Wiz, and all that. This matchup overall, it's interesting. We'll see. I think that Clown can win this, but it's definitely not easy to defend these graveyards. We'll see.
I love chat. Bro is in a literal moving car. It's so good. We've seen Samuel play at a wedding. We're seeing Clown play in a car.
We've seen Faust
I
play
want
in an airport.
skydiving. Yeah, that's right. In the airport, skydiving in 2025 or 2026. It can happen. It can happen.
This is peak mobile esports, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter where you play from. All that matters is you show up and you play your best.
What I want to know is, where is he going? That is so important that he couldn't have either been there already or gone there afterwards. But I digress. Let's get to the matchup here, Juicy. Minor Rocket Cycle, your favorite thing to play against.
Yeah,
going up against GY.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think that Clown will win this matchup if he's able to mitigate these Graveyards well using his guards, his log, his delivery. But it's definitely not easy to defend the Graveyard Poison. But this is the deck that Clown's known for. I mean, if anyone can make it happen, it's him.
Yeah, I mean, he's already cycling rockets here. We're not even into overtime yet. 2 rockets out already. 1100 HP remains on that tower as he defends with an Evo cannon. Knight up high, delivery down low. And yeah, Juicy, this is really interesting because you're not going to win that race unless you get damage in. And there we go. Almost gets the baby dragon there. Luckily, Clown wasn't going through a tunnel and was able to get the Ice Spirit down in time.
Yeah, I think another thing to mention here in this matchup is the baby dragon. Clown really doesn't have any air defense, so he's really going to have to rely on his towers to deal with the baby dragon. He does have the roll delivery, and I do like the block of the bridge here to allow his tower to defend the Graveyard skeletons.
Good block. Poison comes out nonetheless. Baby Dragon needs attention. There's the Knight coming down. Rocket goes in for Clown, 729 to 1183, and things are definitely getting close here as that Miner sneaks in just in time to get on top of tower. Larry there to help, though. 533 to 1183. High cannon here to stop at the bridge, get damage out early on. That is a decent amount of pileup at the bridge, though. Baby Dragon's still very healthy. Witch still very healthy. Wow. And now that Baby Dragon's on tower, that's it.
That is it. Poison on it. Wait. Poison doesn't do enough. It did get a crown tower damage nerf. I feel like they're
back around.
The Witch doesn't splash tower. He needs to get one more poison on the tower. Miner coming through. It is triple elixir, but here comes the Graveyard. I don't know if he can defend this.
Graveyard in, log goes out, and there you go. He looks out the window. Something we've never been able to say in Clash Royale is a loss. Only a little bit of bridge spam today, and it's all been in the form of Ram Rider, right? Or yes, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think mainly Ram Rider is the main bridge spam. I've seen some like on ladder, maybe a little bit like P.E.K.K.A, Evo Battle Ram, Evo Zap type of thing. But I really don't think that deck has what it takes at the highest level here.
Speaking of decks that I wondered if they had what it takes at the highest level, Recruits, pretty popular right now in the meta, but we have not seen them at all today until now. And wow, Clown is going through some turbulence, it looks like.
This is brutal. Like I honestly feel bad for him. This is insane.
The car ride or the matchup or both?
I was talking about the car ride. Like maybe that's why he used the Recruits in game 2. Like, you know, he's playing with Miner, you know, it's a very technical deck, but Recruits, you know, you kind of just got to play the cards, right? You know, there's not too many different ways you can play Recruits. So hopefully the car bumps won't matter too much. Yeah,
I mean, someone mentioned getting car sick, and he's definitely going through it right now. So hopefully he's not a person that gets car sick, because he's got a rocky ride and kind of a drop and play, a drop and wait deck here at the bottom of our screen. As Evo Recruits come out, Tourist did go to RG, so at least I've got a little bit left in the tank in terms of calling matchups, and we'll see what this deck can do. I mean, this is a decent push coming across the bridge right now. Monk ability will not be able to get off in time as it doesn't have enough HP, and pretty nice cleanup there.
Nice. I really like the Barbarian build there to make sure the Evil Hunter doesn't snare the Gold Knight before he's able to dash. That was very important.
And he does get a dash, so nice damage in from Clown early on. 1476 to essentially 2 untouched towers. 2971 is the lowest for Clown on the opposite side of the board.
I really like the deck pick for Clown here. The Zappies, when you're not going, when Tourist doesn't have a big spell, and also the Cage versus the RG mean a solid matchup here. The only question is the Evo Hunter right now, in that Monk. The Monk can give value versus the Flying Machine, and he ends up having the Lightning version, actually. That could change things.
Wow. Lightning plus the Rage here. Those piggies should be able to get on through the tower pretty easily here for Clown.
Yep, Evo Hunter drops down, but the Roll Hogs are locked and loaded. They're doing mad damage, and that's pretty much tower down. One arrow is going to take it.
Wow.
With 10 seconds left, and then Clown's tower's at full HP. It's GG's just like that.
There we go. First game won in a car in CRL, at least as far as I know, and an emphatic victory at that, as Tourist has to now really think about what went wrong there in game number 2. Here we go. Game number 3, Clown versus Tourist, and Tourist bringing out the Lava Hound and a smile. First play of the day of the Lava Hound, as Clown goes straight opposite lane looking for a tower trade. And the curse!
Wow. Goblin Curse Zap. Keep the ghost alive. The goblins are getting damaged. Tourist knows the defense is impossible. He's going in for the tower trade Lava Loon, right hand side.
And Clown looking like, yeah, he's looking like he is in trouble. Inferno comes out, and now he's going to have to figure out, how do I stop everything that is on the board? I have 9 elixir to do it, and probably not a lot of air options. A bomber to kite the Inferno. Okay, that's a start. I mean, that was a threading of a needle if I've ever seen it.
And I don't know if he has any air defense right now. He's deciding to go all in attack. Gob Curse and Zap here will come down and spawn in some goblins to distract Inferno. But if Clown, if Clown can't finish this game out quick, he's in a lot of trouble.
That was one of the wildest starts to a game I have seen in a while. The kiting with the bomber on the Inferno Dragon was chef's kiss.
GG?
The curse plus the zap to defend, and you can see Tourist just, he's like, this guy's got nothing. He literally has nothing to defend. Tourist goes to the skies. He is now undefeated on the day in terms of sets. He's going to be showing up on day number 2, and he is having the time of his life here at the CRL warm-up. The name in the community for the last couple of years, never at the highest level, known as being one of the best bridge spam players in the game. But honestly, he was all over the board yesterday, just playing a little bit of everything. Seemed like Tourist could do no wrong, and I'm very curious to see how he stacks up against the goated one.
The goated one is quite the name. I like that. I might have to use that. But yeah, Muhammad Light with the Tombstone, the Bar Barrel, and a Knight. Looks like we're gonna see some more Splash Yard. We'll see if he's gonna be using the non-tornado or the Baby Dragon, or the Tornado version here.
And we did see a little bit of feistiness, a little bit of spice out of Muhammad Light yesterday, BMing Pedro, hopping around, walking away before games were even over. Big comeback swings. So, you know, I love this version of Muhammad Light that we're seeing. And I also love that Tourist is the only person that's run Lava Hound the last 2 days. And the first time that he ran it, he went up against someone that had 0 air defense, and it was one of the easiest wins that he could take. I think it was against Sam. Can't remember exactly, but it was RG versus Lava, and that RG deck had, oh, you know, I think it was Clown. That RG deck had Zap and Curse in it, and so we were kind of excited to see that, but it did not work out well.
Yeah, I don't know if it matters at all, but I did see a little bit of drama on Twitter where Jeebus, Clown's coach and analyst, was talking about how there was a little bit of a bug actually, where sometimes the deck copied does not show with the deck that is on the screen. So he didn't actually mean to go in with that Roll Giant deck with no air defense. So it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation. We'll see if Tourist is going to be able to be successful as well with the Lava Hound here. But I think going against Mo with a Poison for the Flying Machine, for the Skeleton Dragons, with the Witch and the Ice Wiz for the air defense, is going to be a much different story.
It's really interesting. I didn't know about that, and hopefully that's something that our players and their coaches can lock down. We have had instances in the past where the copy deck wasn't working the way maybe it was supposed to, and that was something players had to adjust to, and a bit unfortunate to hear that, but here we are in this matchup, and just like you're saying, a lot more air defense at the helm of Mohamed Light in this specific matchup. I mean, specifically the two cards we're seeing right now in the Witch and the Ice Wiz. I mean, Ice Wiz are just so great at stopping any beatdown deck, especially up in the skies for that splash once the pups pop. And just cycling Ice Wizards in the back is Mohamed Light as Tourist tries to go aggressive at the bridge opposite lane with a Lava Hound plus Flying Machine push. Mo's got the defense locked down pretty well so far and has to pull the trigger on the poison again.
Poison drops down. Witch is in Cycle, and Tourist does have the lightning, so he's going to drop the lightning down the Witch immediately, trying to break through for any sort of damage. But the Ice Wiz Tornado is in Cycle once again. Ice Wiz doesn't do the damage it used to, but the Tornado doesn't do the damage that it used to, but the Ice Wiz Splash is sufficient to really make sure this defense is successful.
1842, 2575. Tourist has changed minds on which lane to go in. Did not like the counter push potential that he was giving Mo Light on the right-hand side. And Mo Light continuing to just defend with a card or two and then a poison if necessary. Now we see poison coming out on the opposite lane to deal with the Skelly Drags.
Yeah, that's going to force out the arrows as well with the Evil Knight just tanking everything. Tornado once again in the left-hand lane to mitigate damage. And we're heading into Triple Elixir overtime, which I think only can benefit Mo in this matchup.
Yeah, honestly, I completely agree. And I'm really impressed with, I mean, it's hard because it's Mohamed Light, where it's pretty hard to be impressed by anything and everything that he does is impressive. But his ability to completely control a Lava Hound plus Flying Machine with just a Witch and then a Knight, or just a Witch and a Tombstone, not hitting panic, not worrying about the damage that he's taking, not overspending. It's really good because you can see Tourist is having a really hard time figuring out how to put together a real offense that's going to keep up in this final 20 seconds.
Lightning going to drop down the Ice Wiz with the anti-lightning Witch placement. Graveyard from Mo, plus a poison and a Barbell to apply pressure with only 12 seconds left on the clock. This game's getting a little bit more close than I thought it was. The Tornado doesn't do that much damage. The arrows come through, and there's a lightning in Cycle. Tourist making an upset here in game number 1.
Wow. I don't even know. It felt like Mo had that so under control the entire game.
Fairly difficult to get damage in that matchup versus the Valkyrie, the guards, the Skelly Drags, the arrows. So I think Mo made the right play to play in the opposite lane or continue to do that. It just didn't end up working out for him in the end.
So not something that you and I say very often, and something that we've never said before. Mohamed Light down a game against Tourist here at the CRL warm-up.
Yeah, it looks like Mo liked the deck that he saw. He might be copying here, or at least copying a variation of the Lava here. And Tourist with a very strange deck. I honestly have no idea what kind of deck we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, I totally. I mean, you see part of it and you think one thing, you see the other part of it and you think Mortar Bait, and Juicy, I think you're right. Mohamed Light going, I hated that deck. Let me play with it.
Yeah. Goes to the bridge to Cycle to the bats, able to defend against the Inferno Drag. Evo Cage and Cycle gonna yoink that ghost in and allow the tower to clean up these bats. It's gonna stay on the board for a little bit longer as Mo can try to recoup some elixir here.
I know a lot of people out there, a lot of the Clash Royale purists don't love evolutions, and I'll find myself complaining about them when I lose to them as well. But yeah. I do have to admit some of the great mechanics that have been added with them is really interesting in the game. I do think Goblin Cage Evo is one of the more fascinating and unique evolutions in the game. It's never really felt super overpowered. It's always felt kind of matchup dependent. But also it's a great get out of jail. I mean, honestly, Mo is running two of the best get out of jail free cards in terms of Evos, in the sense of obviously what the Goblin Brawler can do and the Valkyrie can do defensively. I mean, they're both so powerful, especially against cards like a Mega Knight. So see how that kind of fares as this game goes on. And almost had a moment there where I thought that we saw Tourist repeat a card, but the Inferno was played in a different set, and Mo didn't straight copy the deck that he just lost to. Looks like he opted for Inferno and Skellies instead of Flying Machine.
Minor Goblin, a right-hand lane, trying to apply some pressure. Evo Valk is in Cycle, going to really clean up this defense, and that's what Andrew means by getting out of jail free card. That's what Lava Hound really excels with evos like this, because a lot of time Lava Hound, it's all about spamming as many air cards you can, applying pressure, getting spell damage, and then you just have 2 or 3 really strong defensive ground cards to help you out on that end of the spectrum.
1918 to 26-26, and now some more damage comes in on that left-hand side. Tourist in the lead in both lanes. Mohammed Light with a bit of a grimace on his face that is a face that we know well, but not one that we see super often.
Skelly Drags drop down with the Evo Cage. If the Evo Cage can take out this Mega Knight, he will have a successful defense, but it doesn't. Zap drop it down, taking it out, and he's forced to defend with guards, and the Mega Knight's getting so much damage. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, Inferno Dragon Bats clean up the entire lava push, putting Mo in another very difficult situation.
1343, 2279 as Tourist is, with 80 seconds left, about to pull off maybe the biggest upset of the tourney so far, but now we see Mo pedal to the metal, lot on the board. This will be very interesting to see how Tourist defends. There's the Evo Zap to come in and help with the Skeleton Dragons, but now the Skeleton Dragon's still alive. Arrows comes in to clean everything up. Golden Knight to tank on the ground. Gang comes down just in time, and I think somehow he defended.
Wow, and there's 60 seconds left on the clock. Tourist is up over 700 damage, and he's going to apply some pressure. It's his time to attack. Mega Knight the bridge. Cage to drop down, try and get the Evo in cycle. He will defend. The Evo Valk will clean up the rest of this push and allow Mo to get another Lava Hound at the bridge. There it is.
Lava at the bridge, 40 seconds remain. Bats immediately on top. Inferno distracted. Lightning comes down to hit everything on the board. Goblin Gang now in to help clean up that lava up front. Mega Knight at the bridge to kite everything away. Second Inferno comes down. Bats surround. Tourist is doing a great job here. 30 seconds remain. Now going to go Miner to the back. Now the counter push comes in. 1327 to just over 1100. Mohammed Light fighting for his life with 18 seconds remaining.
The problem is that Tourist is continually applying pressure, making so another Lava Hound cannot drop down. There's only 10 seconds left. Arrows have to drop on defense. Miner provides chip. The Cage drops down, and Mo needs to save up for a Lightning, but it's not even enough. The Miner did enough chip damage, and Tourist with a 2-0 sweep against the world champion. All right,
here we go.
Game one. We have Ruben with the trendy deck. We got the Gobstein, Goblin Hut, Drill, Evo Snowball, Tourist with a Drill Evo Snowball deck as well. We'll see if it's the same one. Yeah, wow. So we have a mirror matchup.
Yeah, and we see that Berserker actually get on through and get to tower, and we had this happen. Yes, and then we're right back in. Great job there to our production team. Thank you guys so much. And honestly, no action missed. You guys can see right there, 2870 on the top tower there from Tourist, bottom 2972, looking like a mirror matchup of these trendy decks. There's the hut being played right on top of the tower to make sure those spear goblins spawn.
Good arrow coming in from Tourist, getting some nice damage through. Nice snowball from Ruben, though, in defense. And the big thing to really think about, once again, is just always that Evo cycle. If you can ever use your Evo snowball in a situation like that, it's just really good to always get that Evo ready for offense as quick as possible. Tourist is going to keep applying pressure with his Elixir Advantage.
And I like this here. I really like this push. I mean, I don't like that it didn't pull, and I don't like that now we're getting tower damage there, but I initially liked defending so cheaply that it would make Tourist think twice about pulling the trigger on that ability. Although Ruben there just makes a small mistake, small misplay, 25-24 to 25-46, basically all evened up technically. More damage done on the board by Tourist since Ruben's other tower is down at 27-33, the same lane that he cycles this Goblinstein in the back.
Drill coming in with the berry on the offense as well. Bomber drop from Ruben to 12 defend. Berserker on the Bomber, and then a big counter from Ruben on both lanes, actually. Gobstein forced left side, but the Drill's going to come out onto the right, and I'm not sure if he has Bomber back in cycle to help him defend.
Big shout out there to Christian Smith in the chat saying first best of 5 duel format in CRL history. That's right, baby. You're here for it. We're here making history. Juicy and I are very excited to see how this all shakes down.
Evo Snowball getting some nice damage. Goblin Drill really putting the work. Evo Bomber going to turn around and help out a little bit, but that might end up backfiring to King Tower activation. And there it is. King Tower activation through, and the pressure continues, but I think Tourist in a really good situation here, Andrew.
Yeah, he's going to take just a little bit of damage. You know Ruben's not going to use that ability on the left-hand side, especially getting that extra little bit on the right-hand side. 2080 now to 1698. Tourist going to try to take that advantage that we're talking about and see if he can go anywhere with it. Snowballs out in both directions. Then an arrows comes down from Tourist just to get a little bit more tower damage. I do like how Tourist is always smiling. He seems to always be having a good time.
He's happy. He's winning. I like it.
Although I don't think he's done much losing, so maybe that's why he's always smiling.
Here comes another drill. 3-card cycle on the board for both of these players. Bomber down, going to help clean up. And the arrows miss the bomber on offense. That's going to make this defense fairly successful. One goblin does get a hit, but I don't know. I think that Ruben is making some good plays, but Tour's got a big counter push here with this goblin and everything.
Free-cycled Berserker in the left-hand lane. Berserker goes past the drill, though, then gets pushed with a snowball, and now Tourist out to a huge lead again over a world champion.
Drill comes down once again, just continuing to apply pressure. Arrows on the guards, as always, and then the Evo snowball. Just going to pull everything back, including that last-second Berserker, allowing the goblins to get so much damage. How do you even defend that?
Juicy, who is this person? It's just crazy, because the other thing that's insane about this is that this is a new deck, right? This is a new deck that we didn't see at all. It is now a mirror matchup. I doubt either of these guys have played this mirror matchup very many times. I mean, all sports at the highest level is mental, and Tourist just really, really strong right now.
Taking a sip of the energy drink, locking in before the match. Both players leaking some elixir, and Tourist with the Cannoneer. Kind of a dead giveaway on the deck he's playing here. Gonna be the Mortar Miner deck that we've seen so much yesterday.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the exact same thing to you. Is there some like lava deck out there that's randomly running Cannoneer, or is this just a dead giveaway like you said? The part of it that's kind of the question mark for me, Juicy, and I said this yesterday when someone held with Mortar, if that's the case, isn't that a deck where you really want to try to get something done in single, or is that not always the case?
You know, good question. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. You're right. I don't think it is a deck you really want to wait, and because of that, it makes me think he might be playing something else. And I think what we're gonna see here actually is Splash Yard. I have seen Splash Yard paired with the Cannoneer before as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is there a reason that there's good synergy between Splash Yard and Cannoneer?
Mainly just because there's so many splash units with the Ice Wiz, with the Witch, and then perhaps even a baby dragon. It just does a great job of kind of allowing the Cannoneer to take out the high HP units and allowing the splash cards to kind of cover for what the Cannoneer is bad at.
Do you think that this is also a version of Splash Yard down at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, I guess so. It looks like it. I think, there we go. Graveyard down. And that actually is interesting. That's a good call out there, because Cannoneer is very bad versus Graveyard. So that might make things a little bit difficult for Tourist. And it kind of already is. You see how the Evil Witch is just distracted. It's forced to kind of defend all the Graveyard Skellies. And the opposing Witch does a great job defending. And the other thing here in this matchup is Ruben, being the second one to get the Evil Witch in cycle, is actually better, because he's able to use the Evil Witch on defense, allow Tourist Evil Witch to cross the river, and this is a difficult defense now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Juicy. I mean, you look at Ruben's tower completely untouched, and now you look at Tourist, and he's having to spend a lot to stay alive here, and the breakthrough still coming. Evo Witch does come down, but Evo Witch still alive, and this just might be the end of game number 1. You can see Tourist kind of laughing and looking like a little bit more. Yeah, I think he resigned. Exactly. That's exactly the word to use. Instead of,
kind of the middle ground that we talked about earlier, we saw the best, most trendiest deck played from both players in game 1. And then Splash Yard's pretty solid too. There's going to be a lot of spells out, and people are going to have to get, or both these players are going to have to get pretty creative here in games number 3 and 4 and maybe even 5.
Inferno out high here for Tourist, along with an MK and Miner. So this is almost looking like that MK Skelly Barrel spam deck, but I'd be surprised just because we haven't seen Skeleton Barrel at all, but does have all the pieces so far.
This has got to be coordinated from the players. We have a direct, like 100% mirror matchup game 1. We have a near mirror matchup game 2. And now we have a near mirror match game 3 with a Mega Knight minor cycle decks. This is wild.
It's just the same analyst for both players. It doesn't tell either of them. Getting down at the bridge, and yeah, really starting to look like more and more pieces of that. Goes right in with the miner on top of the Ram Rider, though, not expecting the Ram Rider maybe defensively, and then a high Mother Witch to catch the rest of the goblins. Really nice play there from Ruben on maybe a little bit of a more offensive than necessary send by Tourist.
And the E-Spear for the bats, though, make this really difficult to defend, and Tourist has kind of a bad bandit. It's not going to get dash value, forcing a Evo Zap on defense, I believe. I actually don't really know who's Evo. No, it must have been Tourist. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so, because the bandit, I think, would have just gone off the board from the Inferno.
Yeah. Too much Clash Royale for this weekend for me. I'm starting to see things.
I know. I'm sure. Even after our match or our calling yesterday, and then I'm sure you went streaming. So a lot of CR in Juicy's life every week of every month of every year these days. 1905 to 2717 are the two weakest towers, both on the left-hand side. Tourist now at a pretty heavy disadvantage here in game number 3. Starting to look a little bit more like these matchups would have on paper initially, just in the sense of, okay, it looks like Ruben is starting to take a little bit of control of this set. Tourist has been a big surprise all weekend long. There's the E-Spirit to reset. Nice E-Spirit there from Ruben. Going to get another Piggy out of that Inferno Dragon, and then gets the Miner to come out from Tourist. And there's the Zap from both of them.
Yeah, I will say, even though it is a mirror matchup, I do like Ruben's deck a little bit more in the mirror, just because he has the E-Spirit and Zap rather than just the Zap. And the Mother Witch is really just a big threat to most of Tourist cards here.
Ooh, and that's it right there. Big overwhelm. Boss Bandit on top of the tower. Not technically game yet. And just like you were talking about, doesn't have a lot of big spell power, is Ruben with just that Zap. But 458 remaining. A difference of, it doesn't even matter. Just completely overrun.
I think that, once again, when you look at the spell power, you see that Lightning and Fireball is what's available for both players. So we do see Tourist out with the RG, but Ruben with a successful kind of deck prediction probably here with the Mortar. I think that Mortar will succeed and provide some great value versus the RG here.
Yeah, and this is definitely that Mortar version that you really, really like to see, because if Tourist is running the double small spell version, you know, he might be able to get some good value with the Log and the Rage. But for the most part, with the Mortar and all the other 4 cards that you see right there, there's usually always a great, cheap, or even way to defend. And then the ability to not have to overspend regularly on defense. You know, you see that sequencing that happens a lot with Royal Giant players, where it's like, okay, Royal Giant at the bridge with a Log right behind and a Fisherman down low, and all of a sudden you can't defend at all. It looks like Ruben, because it's so cheap and so spammy, should be able to have some good responses.
Mortar on the board. I like this choice just to set up defense, but also to get the Evo in cycle. And Monkability a little bit late. Not going to deflect the first, maybe the second. Wait! But the Mortar... Oh my gosh, not again. The Royal Giant just gets pushed aside from the Monk, and it bypasses the Mortar. Even the Log isn't enough, and Tourist with a massive damage advantage right away here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a life raft sent from those Clash Royale gods. Ruben, you and I both just talking about having a good matchup, already getting good damage on that right-hand side. He had all the responses that he needed to defend. And then, again, that Monk plus the RG, that body block is just so frustrating. The density. We always talk about density at, the highest level of Clash Royale. And that Monk is just dense enough to make sure that that RG gets pushed just a hair.
Gosh, and I just hate these Evo Bats. You never want to play Evo Bats like that. You always want to play them right on top so they can immediately get value. But now we just see a situation where we're just giving Fireball value from Ruben's side as well. So, I mean, Ruben's down ridiculous amount of damage. He has a crazy comeback to make. He's immediately going opposite lane. It's not impossible. I've seen Ruben come back from worse.
Yeah, and you know what? I have... I've never come back against Ruben in anything, but I have been able to come back from down pretty deep against an RG deck. This one is really tough, though, because it does have that monk that can get a little bit of chip if and when he needs it, and obviously it does have the big spell there if it does get to a spell cycle situation. But I agree, Ruben's not out of this yet, but man, is it going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, it's really going to be tough to defend the RG here, too. Never mind, he does cycle back to Mortar. Fireball going to drop down, not on the tower, but directly onto the Mortar. Log is in cycle to barely stop, but once again, really good plays from Tourist, forcing Ruben to overspend on defense, and Tourist continues to be up Elixir.
Yep, exactly everything you just said. I was just looking at the Elixir right after that exchange. You know, barely survives without taking any damage is Ruben. Gets basically useless 3 half-health Spear Goblin counter push, and is down 2 Elixir. So really, really tough stuff here for Ruben. And Juicy, we look like we're going to game number 5 in our very first best of 5. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, this is going to be really exciting to see what kind of decks we see and what kind of, I don't know, just really interesting concoctions of maybe multiple different small spells. And actually, neither player have used lightning yet either. So looks like both players, maybe, I mean, arguably saving the best big spell in the game for the last game of this best of 5.
There we go. Ruben goes full send, opposite lane. Fishboy up high, monk ability to cross. That's going to do enough to bring it down to fireball range. There's the fireball. Doesn't even need it. Tourist all even here with former world champion Ruben. Our first best of 5 in CRL history goes the distance to game number 5. And Tourist's hair looks like he went through the ringer over those last 20 seconds. Rage comes
immediately
down
wrong
in both directions.
Wrong.
We've cracked the code, Juicy. It's the same dang analyst, and he hasn't told his 2 players.
This is wild. We're seeing 4 out of 5 games, all mirror matchups. And if you guys are just tuning in, this is a best of 5. It is currently 2-2, despite the graphic on the right hand here. And wait a second. If I'm right here, I'm going to be so happy.
Wow. Dude,
Please.
If you called Hog EQ with Rage, and then we all of a sudden have a big spell with, Rage plus the EQ, I would be excited. And there it is. There's a Hog. Juicy.
Oh! Wait, the pre-void Rage, but it still pulls! No. Oh my gosh! Wow, that was insane.
That's frustrating, because now Tourist might just straight lose this game when that was such a good play.
Yeah.
That was such a good play, dude. The Rage and the Void, but the timing on the Void, devastated right now.
Here comes the counter push. Hog inbound, Firecracker in tow. And he's low in Elixir. Ruben gets the monk down here. It's going to deal with the Hog eventually, but actually Tourist up in the damage lead now.
Okay. We got ourselves a barn burner here. Best of 5. Just a minute and a half into gameplay. We got Royal Giant from Ruben, one of the best to ever do it, going up against Tourist, and the first Void that I have seen in competitive play in as long as I can remember.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, once again, this is what happens when you get to the very end of a best of 5 and a lot of the spells have been used. He's going to use the Void, probably predicting the fact that Ruben is going to use the Firecracker, right? I mean, even though Lightning is overall the better spell, I mean, we talked about how strong the Firecracker could be in this final game of the best of 5, and he's going to bring the Void to try to deal with it at least.
Yeah, so hard to target that Firecracker with either of those spells, but definitely harder with the Lightning just because it's never going to be, it's never going to be at the top of the HP list. There's the Lightning from Ruben.
Monk and Zappies and Fisherman still in the counter push. We see an Evo Tesla have to drop down here, but that's not really how you want to use your Evo Tesla. You definitely want to save for the next Royal Giant, but Tourist going to apply some pressure now with a pre-rage on the Skellies, but the prediction for the rage on the Skellies on the right-hand side to prevent that from happening. Just mind games all around right now from both players.
Yeah, and now this is a really scary push coming in from Ruben. Monk up front, there's the ability. Tesla going to get taken off the board from, and now second Royal Giant comes down. Void to take out the Firecracker in the back. Ruben got the shot. Ruben gets the win, and our former world champion stays alive and takes the best of 5. Yoru's deck picking. And the other thing is that Yoru's coming off of eliminating Riley and Pedro in his last 2 sets, right? Tourist is coming off of his first loss of a set in this competition. So you also wonder momentum-wise if Tourist can bounce right back.
Evo Witch from Tourist and an Evo Snowball. We have an Evo Bomber and Evo Snowball from Yoru. Once again, starting off the match with this very interesting Goblin Drill, Goblin Hut deck. Tourist, on the other hand, looking like maybe even Giant Graveyard with the Skeleton Army. Very matchup dependent and aggressively style deck here.
Yeah, and we saw this deck kind of match up against GY earlier, although that was like an interesting game that happened. But what I was talking about when we saw that initially was just there does seem to be a lot of graveyard responses. But on the other side of that, will there be the DPS that Yoru needs to take care of these giants? And that Berserker plus Bomber could just be enough.
Bowler hits the Scientist twice here, so I'm assuming once we see the ability, immediate arrows drop down to make that 2 elixir ability value a lot less useful. And Skeleton Army left-hand side, this is a smart play. This is going to
really smart play.
Yeah, it applies pressure, but it also heals the Witch and keeps it full health. And you can see Yoru just, I mean, what else can he do except just, I don't pain over how much damage he's taken.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, what a great play there from Tourist. Love the construction of the deck. Gets that Skarmy out opposite lane, as you said, perfect time. Heals the Witch, creates pressure, pulls Elixir away, gets damage in the opposite lane. You never want to go to a 2-tower game, really, when you're running GY. Giant GY, just a little bit successful, but nice for him to get so much damage on the right-hand side and just a little bit on the left.
Wow, and then he immediately... Yeah, he just immediately goes straight back in with the Giant Graveyard. Berserker, she does decent, but it's just not enough. And Yoru with one last chance to really make something happen, going for the Gobstein, drill in the other lane, dual lane pressure. But, I mean, knowing Tourist, he's not going to have any problems defending this.
Yeah, arrows come out from both players. Decent damage in there for Yoru. Does get the tower below 1,000 HP, and that's, you know, that's some of the greatness of that Berserker there. Wow, high minions on top of 2 ground-only units.
Evo Snowball out
snowballs
from both.
In both directions.
The goblins do get damage, though, but there's no big spell. Maybe if he has Evo Bomber in cycle?
I was going to say,
there it is.
I was going to say the Bomber.
One hit, the Skeleton Army distracts. I don't think Arrow Snowball is enough, so he has to go in for another drill. And Tourist knows it, though. He's going straight in for the Giant Graveyard. So even if he loses his tower, he can get another tower back.
Yeah, I mean, I would have still loved to maybe just see a little elixir spent by Tourist down there. But still, 1,000 HP to 2133. We do actually get to that 2-tower situation that I was just talking about. And as I said, this is better to have Giant GY than Splash Yard, in my opinion, in this moment.
For sure. Yeah, Giant Graveyard definitely excels in this sort of situation. But to be honest, Yoru went from having no chance to definitely a solid chance to win this. It's going to be tough, but it's not impossible. Ooh.
Nice Skarmy there, ready to go. Almost looking like it was probably hovered, waiting for that Goblin Goblinstein in the pocket.
Yeah, and the Gobstein ability goes off, which means the 2 elixir was spent, but no value from it. So Yoru just down a straight over 2 elixir here, and he's trying to set up defense for this Giant Graveyard, but Tourist knows that, so he's just going in for the Giant, the minions, the arrows. He's just trying to attempt to get 1 or 2 Giant hits, and he gets it.
Gets the Giant hits, 2 bowlers on the board. Evo Witch behind, very, very healthy, and as of right now, I think we're just delaying the inevitable. 261 remains, Witch on the board. And it, still pulling Elixir out of Yoru here. Another Giant in the pocket, you can imagine, and there it is. Evo Snowball to close things up, and we're going to game number 2. I feel like we spent just a hair more on it yesterday with the Witch. How are you feeling about her in general? I know that we said she feels pretty balanced. Now we're seeing her used a ton throughout the weekend, but Do you feel like your opinion on her has changed at all, or do you think she's still in a good spot?
I will say that I will stick with what I said, that she's fairly balanced. Like, there are cards that can counter her, but because of that, she's just kind of rock paper scissorsy, if that makes sense. It's very similar actually to Heal Spell back in the day, where we had a rock paper scissors situation between 3 Musky Heal Spell, Graveyard Poison, and then also another deck that countered the 3M. I forget, it was literally like 6 years ago, but it's very similar in that situation where healing cards in general kind of make a bit of a rock paper scissors between spells in certain decks.
So Tourist here coming out with, I'm trying to go back. Yeah, this is the deck that Yoru started his competition with yesterday. So very interesting to see Tourist bring that out against him, especially because that deck was not successful against the deck that Yoru's running right now. I mean, the only difference was that Riley had lightning instead of poison, but already Tourist playing it better than Yoru did.
Yeah, I mean, the Evo Barbs of the Bridge, I was like, there's no way this is going to work. He has Ice Wiz and he has Golden Knight, but then I saw the Heal Spirit, and what happens is the Golden Knight, as is dashing through the Barbarians, the Heal Spirit will jump before the Golden Knight's able to make it to it, and ends up healing all the Evo Barbs, and immediately Evo Battle Ram. Tourist knew that interaction was going to happen. He was not scared of his Evo Barbs dying, and he continued to apply pressure, even with the Golden Knight after that, hitting so much damage.
And Evo Battle Ram coming in here. Evo Battle Ram, also one of the more unique Evos in the game, can be so dominant, but also pretty easily controlled.
Gob Gang Ice was dropping on defense. Mother Witch does need to be blocked before it locks into the gang. So Evo Mortar is going to drop. The Golden Knight's going to drop. And this is one chance that Yoru has to get even more value to try to make this comeback. And he looks like he might be making it happen. Can his Evo Mortar lock?
Evo Mortar doesn't lock. Mother Witch puts in just enough work. Second Mortar comes down. Royal Ghost is there to distract. Now the Piggy will distract. Now the Golden Knight comes down to distract. 2 Mortars still on the board. Nothing out of the Evo. And great job here from Tourist creating damage in the opposite lane. Remember, guys, Tourist is known as one of the best bridge spam players in the game. We haven't seen him run bridge spam this entire weekend. And right now we're seeing a bit of domination. Dangerous, though.
Oh, wow. The Mortar gets a connection. So does the Miner and the Gang. All of a sudden, this game's a lot more tied up than it was just a second ago.
Poison right at the bridge on top of that Barb, plus Evo Ram behind. Royal Ghost cycled opposite lane. A lot of poison value there given to Yoru from Tourist, but now more needs to be spent.
Okay, Spear Gob's counter pushing. Golden Knight on defense, and we see another pressure in another lane. I really like what Tourist is doing to switch lanes, apply lots of pressure, and try to hold on this damage advantage, because his only big spell, not even big spell, his only spell is the Rage.
And Golden Knight needs to get focused on. There it is. Nice high Goblin Gang. Late Heal Spirit, though. A little too late there from Tourist. Doesn't get those Barbs healed back up. Going for that killing blow. Now goes again. Royal Ghost Battle Ram behind. Barbs opposite lane at the bridge. Nice high Mortar here to pull everything plus the Barb Barrel. Defense locked down for Yoru.
Heal Spirit over the river. Miner inbound. The Golden Knight ends up dashing to the tower, though.
Wow.
With the Rage, Golden Knight gets another hit. But it's still not over unless the Battle Ram connects. Gob Gang drops the Heal Spirit, heals, and it connects. Oh my gosh, even Yoru is surprised and upset about this insane win from Tourist, taking 2 games in a row in the best of 5.
As we get into game number 3 here, Tourist goes the distance against former world champion Ruben, loses in game number 5, gets sent to the lower bracket. Now a rookie face-off that is very one-sided. Tourist up 2-0, could take the set here with one more win.
Tourist started with Skeletons here in this matchup. That could really mean anything, but it definitely means it's a cycle deck. We could see Royal Giant, Hog Rider, Minor, or even Goblin Drill for Tourist here. And that's another thing I want to talk about is it does seem like Tourist is actually winning the game of the deck picks right now. Maybe not in this last match, but still, the Mother Witch is a great pick here, and I really like his gameplay. But the other thing to mention is that he's really doing a great job of saving those really important cards like Skeletons, Log, even the big spells like Fireball and Lightning that are going to be super helpful for him in this game number 3 and maybe 4.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point that you make when you look at the spell power and the cards that are used on both sides of the boards. You know, Tourist is doing a really great job of just using cards and spells that that we haven't seen a lot of in our best of 3s, and I think that's a great way to start looking at where you start to build your decks for games 4 and games 5. So here we go, looking like RG, bottom of your screen, top of your screen, we're seeing this combination, which we've seen many times before this weekend with the Boss Bandit plus the MK, and now a Hog Rider comes out. Shouldn't get any hits.
Yeah, great recognition from Tourist, realizing the second Hunter hit was too far away to deal maximum damage, using the E-Spirit and Barb Barrel to really mitigate here. Skeleton's going to drop for the Goblins now, and I think the biggest thing that Tourist is going to have to watch out for in this matchup is that Evo Mega Knight. As long as he can get a Fishman pull in that Evo Mega Knight when on offense and use the Evo Hunter to snare it, preventing the value, he's going to be in a really good spot.
Oh, and that's a really almost beautiful zap there from Yoru, trying to make sure that that Fish Boy doesn't take the Firecracker off the board, but ends up wasting a spell where he needs it.
Evo Hunter just getting so much value here. First snaring the Evo Mega Knight, preventing anything from happening, and now snaring the Inferno Dragon. It's one of the coolest synergies.
Unsettling.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's just such an interesting interaction, and it's also one of the coolest synergies to see the Evo Hunter be able to snare air units to the ground and allow Fisherman to pull.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say basically the same thing. I mean, the Fisherman Hunter combo is something we've talked about since 2018.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was gonna mention is it's just so unsettling to see the Inferno Dragon on the ground. You almost feel like sad for it.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of depressing to see, but you know, that's the power of the Evos in Clash Royale currently, and that's why we see Tourist cycling so quickly. Now with an Evo Hunter on one side, with an Evo RG in the other, realizing the Evo Mega Knight's going to drop on the left lane. Yoru with no Inferno Drag or Mega Knight defense with a pre-Fisherman for the Boss Bandit as well. A zap to try to delay the pull, but the RG is just slaying this right-hand lane.
Dude, that was exactly what I love about RG players. And a nice push here, though. You see a little bit more being spent on the left-hand side because of a slight miss on the Inferno. Now the Hog Rider gets in on the right. And you can see Yoru shaking his head, maybe going, man, like, without those mistakes, I'd really be in this game. But now 483 to 1028. Imagine that's probably lightning in the last spot, as we haven't seen a big spell come out yet.
Okay, good block of the bridge. Monk will not tank, but it will deflect. Yor calls the good game because he does not have a way to distract this Roll Giant. RG with the hit. Lightning inbound, and Tourist officially taking down the new face in the CRL warm-up with a 3-0 sweep in the lower bracket finals.
Beat the former world champion in a best of 10. Sorry, good luck. You know, like, absolutely crazy there. And very curious to see how this best of 5 shakes out just a bit differently. We'll see if the strategy comes out like we saw with Tourist in that last best of 5 against Yoru, maybe using a little bit less popular combinations. But starting off with Golden Knight, obviously very, very popular this weekend. Inferno Dragon not quite as popular, whereas Ruben is going right down the lane for what has been used maybe the second most, third most this weekend, and looking like Mortar Control here.
Interesting. So yeah, Mortar Control from Ruben into Tourist with a Bowler, a Golden Knight, an Inferno Drag, and a Witch. I think that Tourist is using not a second, but now a third kind of a Graveyard deck here. This is going to be interesting. I believe it's going to be a Graveyard Freeze Tornado variation.
Yeah, that's really... I was just like, where's the synergy with the Golden Knight? But if you talk about Freeze and Graveyard, that makes a lot more sense. There's the Freeze, just like you talked about, Juice. It's the reason they pay you the big bucks.
The weird thing about the deck is the Ice Spirit, though. But if you do think about it, the Evo Ice Spirit actually also has good synergy with Tornado, allowing to... the Tornado allows everything to get grouped together, so the Evo Ice Spirit can get really good freeze value on top of everything.
Yeah, there's this streamer that I watch. His name's Juicy J, and I've seen him do this really great combo of NATOing everything together. Is it now the sequencing of it? I don't know if it really matters every single time, but I think I've seen you do it where it's the Ice Spirit. Is it the Ice Spirit and then the NATO?
Yeah, that's usually what I would do. I would do the Ice Spirit first and then Tornado in quick succession, mainly just because if you do the Tornado first, you run the risk of everything kind of spreading out again before the Ice Spirit's able to drop down.
Exactly. And then the Ice Spirit, because you're playing it first, obviously it's got that split-second delay on drop. Get the NATO out. The NATO is instantaneous. Boom, boom. You've just defended 7, 8, 9 elixir like I've seen for 4, which is pretty incredible.
And here's the big change to the Tornado that happened fairly recently. It just doesn't take out Spear Gobs, and it doesn't even damage the Goblins very well. So great defense from Ruben. He's immediately counter pushing with the Gold Knight dash. And we see Tourist actually very frustrated with the freeze just not being able to work. Really upset about this game number 1.
Yeah, and you know what? This is now the question, and there it is. Yeah, you see it. It's everywhere. It's the first time we've seen Tourist not smiling, putting down his phone, actually gesturing with frustration. And now we have to see if the tilt is real. That's what I'm very curious about.
Right. I mean, that's a good point. This is a best of 5 instead of a best of 3. So there's a lot of opportunity for Tourist to come back, and he's all smiles again. So I think that he's going to have some chances for sure.
Yeah, happy to see the smiles back out on Tourist. Even saw them at the very, very end of that game after he'd kind of thrown his phone down. And if that doesn't activate King, it doesn't. And that is another frustrating start to game number 2. Still smiles about it, but I'd definitely be a little bit annoyed.
So Roll Hogs versus Tourist using the Roll Giant. I think that this is one matchup we talked about yesterday where you asked me what decks can counter Roll Giant. I think that if played perfectly, this Roll Hogs deck can do well. The problem is that he's allowed this Monk to cross, which deflects the cannon, the queen, and yeah, if you watch like Riley or Muhammad Light play this matchup, a lot of the time we see some early queen abilities forcing out early monks so that the monk can tank for the RG once it's crossed.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point that you make, because a lot of times I think players see Archer Queen, and then I think people see Monk, and then immediately their brain kind of shuts down. They're like, well, great, I can't win now. And yeah, I think that there's definitely a way to play through it. Yeah, I usually feel that way, to be honest.
But on the other hand, you know, Tourist doesn't have the Ghost version too. So at least the Roll Hogs are going to provide a lot of offensive value in this matchup as well. The other big thing to note, though, is Ruben is using the Barbarian Barrel instead of the Log. I mean, you talk about it all the time where the Log is way better versus a Roll Giant just because that knockback is so important for stunning the RG whenever it's locked on your building, on defense, or even your tower.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Ruben kind of uses the delivery in conjunction with the barrel and the Ice Spirit to kind of stop the big pileups at the bridge.
Monk here is back in cycle, but the Evil Ice Spirit might be able to make some plays on the defense. I just don't love the Evil Ice Spirit placement there. I would like to play on the left side and the right side there to kite the Monk away from where your cannon is to prevent that value. But I mean, look at this. The Ice Spirit's getting snared. The RGs are in both lanes. The delivery's going to drop down late. But once again, without the Log, the Bar Barrel drops down. It doesn't push the RG off the tower.
Wow.
So it just continues to get massive damage.
Yeah, I mean, that was really beautiful stuff in both lanes. Just pulling out just enough elixir from Ruben and then really punishing by going opposite. So many RGs on the board, dealing with the double cannon. I mean, that's one thing that you see a lot with this Royal Hogs deck, as you said, you know, when it's played perfectly, it can match up pretty well against RG. The cycle, the AQ being on the board, that being able to get 2-3 cannons out for whenever there's 2-3 Royal Giants. But this time did not matter. And as dominant as Ruben was in game 1, I'm going to go ahead and say that Tourist was just as dominant in game number 2. So how do I get that Monk out of cycle? Well, a good way is to get the AQ in the opposite lane. But then, as we saw, didn't really come together or come to fruition the way that Ruben thought. So We've played 2 best of 5s with these guys, or I should say we're in the middle of the second best of 5 with these guys, and they are 1-1 currently, and the Suspicious Bush comes out for the first time today on Sunday.
All right, Mega Knight, Suspicious Bush, Tourist with some Hog Earthquake. We'll see. We did see this deck kind of struggle yesterday on day 1, mainly because Suspicious Bush ended up being the only Wing Edition. We'll see if Ruben has maybe a Miner or a Goblin Drill, or maybe even an extra set of like Wall Breakers or something to make this happen. Wow.
Yeah, Wall Breakers, something we have not seen a lot of at all this weekend, only maybe twice.
What's happening here? I mean, Tourist just, I guess, really good defense. Maybe Ruben is too aggressive. And no Mega Knight in cycle, no Ghost in cycle, of course. So we see a really, really solid connection for Tourist.
29-59, Tourist's lowest tower. Ruben, as Juicy was just talking about, takes a lot of damage early on. 1498 on his remaining tower as he cycles the Suspicious Bush in the back.
Gosh, and this is really not what you want to do versus this deck, especially with this Mega Knight. I think we once again had a kind of similar matchup yesterday where it was Royal Hog's Delivery versus Mega Knight, and the Royal Hogs player got a nice early connection. They defended most of the game. It looks like they were going to win, but they ended up losing because they didn't have a tank for the Mega Knight. But in this situation, Tourist has a boss bandit of his own. I think that's going to really make this early damage lead really hard for Ruben to come back from.
Yeah, not only does he have the boss bandit, but he's also got the goblins, which is, it's always great for you guys that don't know, is if you have a tank or something that can take out that initial either leap or hit from the MK and then surround it with swarm units. It's a great way to keep him at bay and get some good damage in. I know it's pretty obvious for those of us that play a ton, but for some people I know they struggle a lot against Mega Knight, and we're seeing that partially in play right now as Tourist cleans up the Mega Knight from behind.
Yeah, that is the one problem with the boss man, even though it is a solid tank compared to the delivery. Since it's a champ, you only can have one boss bandit played on the board at a time, and once it dies, you still have to cycle 3 more cards to get back to it. So, seemingly still struggling versus the Mega Knight. Although this Firecracker is providing a lot of value on offense, I think that Tourist still wins this as long as he can really defend against this last couple push.
Yeah, good job there. Barely sneaks away with it. Does end up using the piggies this time to kite away, which was a necessary move. Double firecrackers down. A lot of arrow value there. And now Tourist could be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, the leap is there, which means the Mega Knight's going on tower.
You're right. Mega Knight on tower. Mother Witch on tower. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's solid defense, and the Evil Firecracker cleans the rest. Now Tourist just needs 2 more Earthquakes to win.
Yeah, quick little panic button there. Tourist was able to come out on top. Now we see Ruben going hyper aggressive, needs to win the game now. Tourist knows, just needs to cycle back around real quickly. There's 1, 2, there's 3. Now the Earthquake coming down, and we are going to game number 4 with Tourist in the lead, up 2-1 against Ruben.
I feel like he does have a lot of options as well when it comes to cycle decks. Yep, there we go. Log bait it is. Maybe double log bait here, mirror matchup.
Yeah, and I really do like the log bait call here from Tourist, and I actually really like the bomber there from Ruben, maybe thinking about swarm units.
Okay, Tesla gonna drop down, take out the Dark Ob once it comes in the range while it's underground. The other interesting thing is, if I'm not wrong, I don't actually remember. Like, I don't know if either player actually has the option for log or bar barrel. So that's going to make this matchup really aggressive.
They don't. Both players are out. Yeah, both players have used log and bar barrel, and Ruben has also used arrows and delivery.
Yeah, it makes sense why both players using bait here, and it also makes sense to see some snowballs. Snowballs are going to be fine for defending barrel when there's not a tank, but when there is, it's going to be a big problem.
Really nice defense there from Ruben. High Bomber takes out the spears. Fire Spirit to take out the short thrown barrel.
Okay, Goblin Drill actually, not Goblin Barrel from Ruben. Valkyrie though from Tourist. Nice play here. Valkyrie, great counter to the drill. The big thing that he's going to have to watch out for, though, is the Evo Snowball. So the Evo Snowball is going to drop down that Valk, and with no log or barbell, the Goblins are going to be able to get some nice damage in. I think that gives Ruben a solid advantage, especially with that Fire Spirit. Fire Spirit's great for dealing with barrel when you don't have log.
So if you're Ruben, do you go barrel plus poison first once we get deeper in, because then it makes you pull the Valkyrie and then you go Evo Snowball? Is that maybe the most aggressive sequencing, or is there a better way that you would attack, knowing that Valkyrie and Goblin Gang is most likely going to be the two ways that your opponent's always responding to your barrel, or excuse me, your drill?
Right. I think, honestly, I just don't see how Tourist is defending against a Goblin Drill, Poison, Evo Snowball. So I think if Ruben's able to make that play happen, there's the Snowball, second Snowball. Evo Snowball will be in cycle next. He's definitely going to make some plays, especially with the Evo Valk out of cycle. Tourist is up damage for now, but it's going to be tough. But here comes the Evo Barrel. Wow.
Ooh, nice. Wow. Nice Fire Spirit, but a lot of damage.
A lot of damage, but he uses it also the Evo Snowball on defense. So now this play that we've been, hyping up for this entire 2 minutes of the starting match here is just, it's not even possible. So really well played from Tourist, continuing to apply a lot of pressure right now.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point that you make, because now all of a sudden we have to add in another like 30-40 seconds of gameplay to get back to that snowball. So really, really great way for Tourist there to kind of delay what he knows is the scariest thing for him to deal with. Now a regular drill, I mean, they're all regular drills going to come in, but no Evo Snowball in hand. So regular Snowball comes in, but obviously Valkyrie is there. One Goblin does get on tower, but damage done in the opposite direction. Remember, guys, if Tourist wins this, he will win this first set of upper bracket finals. He will take this best of 5, but because he has already given a life to Ruben, they will go to the upper bracket grand finals reset. 2 best of 5s back to back, 3 best of 5s total.
Yeah, this is looking
these 2 players
really grim for Ruben right now. He's just not making the perfect plays that you need in order to win this matchup. I mean, we talked about the World Finals. Logbait is just so good at applying pressure and forcing your opponent to make mistakes, and it's even more difficult to really lock in and play perfect when you're on a stage like this, and you can see it already. The Dark Ob's locked. It's pretty much over. Maybe Ruben has one last chance here with a double Dark Ob, double Bomber, Goblin Drill, another Drill and Cycle, Snowball on defense, Fire Spirit to clean. One more Snowball, I believe, should win the game, though. So Tourist just needs to defend and delay and wait for that to happen.
Yep, nice job there from Tourist, making sure that he still gets value out of that Valkyrie, doesn't get taken away, protects the front, protects the back.
The best of 3s of best of 5s, if you will. The third best of 5 between these players. And, yeah, this is it. This is for all the marbles for the CRL warm-up.
The best of 3 of the best of 5s. I love that. And it's our production team doing a great job. Clint, our producer, in our ear all day, helping us out all weekend. You can see the graphics just cleaned up. Love those graphics on the far right-hand side. 5 empty spots. You only need 3 of them to walk home with the prize and bragging rights. And Tourist, as Juicy just said, doing a great job in his 3rd best of 3 or his 2nd best of 3 against Ruben. And hey, you know that guy. You're a fan of that guy. Juicy, the other day in your stream, you were saying my toxic trait is that anytime the meta changes, I think that E-Giant is back. And usually you stop playing E-Giant within the first couple days. Is E-Giant back right now or not?
E-Giant's not bad in the current meta. It's just the big problem with it is that it's hard to find good Evos to go with it. Tourist gonna pair it with the Evo Knight and the Evo Skeletons here and the Bowler. It's not bad, but I do like Ruben's Evos a little bit more. I think the Evo Bomber is decent, but the Evo Snowball has a lot of oomph. This being said, once again, for some reason, Tourist is just so good at predicting when this deck is going to come out. Ruben starting a couple best of 5s now with this deck, and Tourist just ready to go. He's got the Bowler, he's got the E-Giant. There's no big spell, and Goblin Hunt is not very good versus E-Giant either.
Yeah, you don't get that initial damage that you really need, and then as the E-Giant gets closer, obviously the reflection and the damage done eats through that hut, eats through the Spear Goblins on the ground, and now we see full send opposite lane.
Wow.
Nice Evo Snowball there.
Yeah, this is
Evo Skellies.
This is a lot of damage coming through just because Tourist played the boulder in the back. That's definitely something you never want to do when you're going against Drill. I've lost so many games just playing a bowler in the back. It's not like Golden Ideas where you can make that play.
Yeah, that's fascinating. You know, just one elixir more, and obviously the amount of defensive utility the bowler provides. Being out of cycle and being punished for it is Tourist, 2071 to 2971.
I like the lane switch here. Evo Bomber to the bridge. He does play skeletons in time in the night as well. Make sure there is no damage. And here comes a lightning. In the tower, the Gobstein, as well as that Gob Hut. And we see an offensive Gob Hut to make sure there's no damage from the Goblin Stein. A lot of Goblin cards.
Yeah. Good job navigating that tongue twister there. As the high Gob Hut doesn't do quite what Tourist wanted offensively, but got the job done defensively. Obviously would have loved to get a couple of those goblins on tower, maybe even those goblins keeping that baby dragon alive long enough to get a baby dragon belch on tower, but instead takes 3 lightning fast strikes from that berserker, 1765 to 2707. And you know, Juicy, you're very good at not giving up till the end, which is something that you have to do, obviously at the highest level, but something you really have to do with E-Giant. The amount of times that I've won or seen you or other players win with E-Giant in the final 20 seconds of triple elixir.
Yeah.
But is there a way to really break through? I mean, what would you be thinking right now? When you're streaming, you always have that consciousness, okay, this is happening. How do I break through? Is there a good way to do it right now against Ruben?
I think the biggest way is to do what he's doing right now and just stack boulders. Boulder is the most difficult card for Ruben to deal with. Baby Drag does good as well, so he's doing a great job of playing boulders. He's going for the E-Giant now. The bowler takes out the Hut. It's so good versus Hut and versus Tombstone. Evo Snowball is in cycle to try to delay, but now here comes the E-Giant. Double bowler Baby Drag push with 30 seconds left on the clock.
And a very odd set of Evo Skellies at the bridge right-hand lane against the Princess Tower. Not really sure what that was all about, but Tourist does get to tower, does get shots in, does get a bowler shot, 1245, 1765, as he has just screamed into the lead. And now Ruben fighting in these final 10 seconds. Not going to happen with the bowler there. You know that there's another lightning in tow, and Tourist takes game number 1 after taking 3 in a row against Ruben in the previous best of 5. You see that it didn't hurt Tourist by losing his evolution, even though they're just the 1 elixir Skellies. So just something to think about at home. I find myself in that position a lot. I don't know if you do, Juice, because you are so advanced. You do? Okay. Yeah. I was curious.
I honestly thought you were calling me out.
No.
I'm just kidding.
That's all me, man.
I find myself in that situation a lot, especially with the Evo Ike Spear. It's like, man, I really don't want to play this card. I know it has such great defensive capabilities, but man, it's really stuck in my cycle, and I need to get to my Hog Rider. And sometimes that's just what you got to do. Play at the bridge and get back to the more important cards for the matchup.
Tombstone plus Skelly King going up against Piggy's EQ. Already not looking super great for Ruben when you think about all the easy ways to respond to the swarm, but only 2 cards revealed.
Yeah, so Roll Hog's Earthquake versus most likely Skelly King Roll Giant Evo Witch. This is interesting. I think that you're right. You would rather have a Monk in this matchup than a Skeleton King, although there is a Lightning for the Archer Queen, and the Evo Witch maybe can pop off, get some work done if he's able to protect it correctly.
And curious about what the last card is going to be for Tourist. Juicy, do you think he's going to be wanting for a tank?
My guess, oh man, my guess is it's got to be a cycle card, probably either skeletons, goblins, maybe guards. Yeah, you're right. Maybe guards would be the ideal since they're kind of spell resistant, similar to a tank.
So AQ at the bridge. Tombstone to distract. A log looking for something small, like an E-Spirit, but Earthquake comes out on the Tombstone. No harm, no foul.
Evo Cannon going to drop the Skelly King down to 1 HP. Evo Ice Spirit ready for defense as well. Ruben has already just given up on this and immediately setting up for another RG in the back. And this is the patience that you always talk about with really good Royal Giant players, where you're just waiting, you're getting your Evos in cycle, you're waiting for a mistake or just one moment where you can really make that perfect attack with a couple predictions to break through.
And great call there on the guards, Juice. It really felt like we had talked a lot about this Piggy's versions of decks this weekend that did not have a tank and really hurt because of it. And now we have a good enough tank. The delivery, the Ice Spirit, and the guards should suffice, especially because we have such a fast cycle.
I wonder if I'll see Skelly King ability here. No, once again, just patience from Ruben. He's down a lot of damage though. I mean, that's the thing with decks like this, where it's like, how much patience is too much patience? He's going to make the attack, though. He's got the Evo RG, and he's got the regular RG on the right. He has the Evo Witch still alive. RG does get one hit. Delivery dropped down. RG with another hit.
Wow.
And we see a Fisherman Bridge. I'm assuming a Skelly King ability here, but still great defense from Tourist.
Yeah, really nice cleanup there from Tourist. Looked a little scary for a second, but he does seem to have all the answers. 24-38 to 14-19. 80 seconds remaining here in overtime of our game 2 of our second best of 5 between these two players. Remember, this, as Juicy said, is for all the marbles. This is a $4,500 best of 5.
RG in the back once again. Ruben knows that he needs a double Royal Giant high pressure push in order to break through. But Tourist with the High Queen preventing lightning value. Earthquake chipping away. Fisherman going to try to pull the queen, but immediate ability. Good stuff from Tourist. It's on Ruben here to make the push to break through.
Yeah, so curious if he can do it. You see there the RG cycled in the back, really looking at and knowing his time frame. You know that he's got just enough time to get 2 RGs down. He's not going to make that mistake. So first RG works down the right-hand side. Second RG down the left. Evo on the right.
No lightning.
Lightning high?
I thought he was going to lightning the cannon and the queen. I think it's a big missed opportunity. And that Archer Queen ability pops and takes out absolutely everything. And maybe that might be the only opportunity he had.
Maybe now he can get an RG down in time right-hand lane? Yeah, maybe. There is a cannon. He does have the elixir for lightning, but...
Oh my gosh.
Just like you called, Juice. Just not enough time. Missed the lightning earlier. Huge missed opportunity. And as you said, you got to be patient, but you can't be too patient. Beautifully played and defended by Tourist.
Yeah, I mean, just perfect defense all around. Even to the very final second, Tourist knows the pre-lightning is going to drop. So, of course, he goes for the anti-lightning placement of the cannon while the guards are just hitting the DPS. Really good stuff. And Tourist now, I believe, up 2-0 in this best of 5 here.
Any of these matchups. How many times have I even played with this deck construction specifically? And I guess we're about to see right now if Ruben and his team can pull off a miracle against Tourist.
Lava Tourist is 2-0 so far with Lava decks. We'll see if he can go 3-0 and kind of cement Lava as a viable deck to be played in CRL. But Ruben with the Executioner, he's ready to go.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that Ruben has a good response. We've seen, as you said, Lava run 3 times. And Ruben, ready for it. You can see right there the look on Tourist's face, just going, oh my gosh. All right, you've got the Inferno. I mean, excuse me, you've got the Executioner. Whew, this is going to be a little bit of a struggle. Then the Inferno comes out on top of the Flying Machine. You know that Ruben's just going for minor chip damage, and Tourist has got to feel sick to his stomach.
Yeah, the other thing here is that I believe Ruben is going to end up having a balloon, so Tourist is going to have 2 win conditions that he's going to have to deal with while trying to break through an Executioner plus Inferno with only a Zap and probably another small spell. I don't think... Yeah, he already used Lightning with E-Giant, so maybe as a Fireball, but even Fireball is not enough to break through that very tanky Inferno tower.
Wow, and really aggressive is Ruben right now. He goes... pulls that all forward in front of the tower, gets some Xe shots in, gets that Executioner protected just enough to get another couple shots in, and now bringing this tower below 1,500 HP, where Tourist is barely ticking to 5 elixir, and no damage basically done on his opponent's towers.
Even Elixir now. I would not be surprised to see Tourist switching lanes, but he has to defend first. There it is. He went for the Valk. He was going to maybe play a balloon, but yeah, I mean, the balloon is just perfectly timed from Ruben there.
Yeah, really, really great. Forcing your opponent to use Elixir they don't want to. So now we see Tourist set up in the opposite lane. Just probably going to... Oh, he doesn't eat the miner. And the NATO to the... I love it. I love everything that I'm seeing Ruben do right now because, you know, it might look or feel a little aggressive or unnecessary, but he's just taking away all the options that his opponent has. Now with the Evo Valk, I mean, this is just so beautifully put together.
Yeah, now the Executioner drops and just cleans the rest. And that's just going to get the Evo back in cycle as well. Not to mention the King Tower activation on the first play of the game versus the Miner. He's really cooking here. If Tourist wins this game, I will be astonished to say the least.
I mean, this is one of the few 100 zeros it feels like we've seen this weekend. We've seen some 80-20s, maybe even some 90-10s, but like, there's no way. There's no way to play through this.
Surely not, but Tourist will try. Nonetheless, he's trying to make a dual lane pressure to not give the Executioner Evo too much value. He's trying to snipe the Flying Machine with the Inferno Tower, but the Executioner Evo, it's locked. It's going to one-shot all these level pups on the way back,
so
and the
satisfying.
Inferno Tower is just cleaning everything up. This is really solid plays.
And Tourist is doing what you have to do in this moment. He's laughing. He's laughing it off. He's like, okay, I got caught. I ran the deck that I've been the most successful with this weekend. And I'm the only person that's been regularly going to Lava Hound. It's okay. You can't get in your head now. You're still up 2 games. You got a 100-0 matchup. You had Goblin Curse for some reason. and here we go. Moving on to game number 4.
Currently, the Evo Witch is available for Tourist, and Ruben doesn't have an availability for Lightning. So that could be something we see here from Tourist to try to just finalize this last game.
Evo Knight out early. Fire Spirit opposite lane. Fire Spirit, Heal Spirit, Mega Minion. First Mega Minion we've seen all weekend.
Lumberjack on the board and a Bomber. So Tourist is going to be playing a Boss Bandit Giant Heal Spirit kind of just mini beatdown deck. I actually really like this deck. And it's... Wow, wait, I just have to stop talking for a second because there goes all of Ruben's Elixir. The Boss Man on the tower. Great start from Tourist already. Wow.
Wow, yeah. Ruben still down 2 Elixir. No offensive counter push and a rough way to start another game back up against the wall.
And that is the power of the Boss Bandit, especially when that Knight is not in cycle. I mean, I don't know. I'd probably have to watch that back. I think that made the Queen just... not the right option there. Maybe his cycle was just really bad, or at least you gotta try to get the ability off. I don't know. That was just a really tough situation.
Yeah. I'm sitting here kind of watching it back, and yeah, I don't know what the plan is there. If he doesn't have anything else on the ground, yeah, he had to cycle back to Goblins to stop it, right? Which means that those other cards that he has is not what he needs to defend a Boss Bandit.
And here comes the Giant. Tourist gonna try to continue his Elixir lead to even more damage lead. Archer Queen ability does drop this time, and we see an a Hog in the other lane, but the problem is this Evo Lumberjack will take out the entire tower. So I guess Ruben going for a tower trade in this situation. Maybe the Knight can pull this back. It does, but the Evo Bomber's in cycle 2 to get 2 shots on tower.
Wow. And now we just need to see, can Tourist keep his composure? That's all he needs to do at this moment. Does take another hog hit. Don't love the overspend there and still taking the hit, but really not any other options when you look at the 8 cards available for Tourist, and that's going to be a lot of the story moving forward, I think. I mean, he's got a... I guess the Lumberjack is probably a better option. And then you see Boss Bandit cycle down that lane. 431 remains on that left-hand tower, but remember, no big spells in hand for Tourist. We're talking a couple arrows, few rages, and that's a lot of work to get done late game. So see how this unfolds.
Evo Cannon in the middle, Evo Knight inside for the Boss Bandit. He has to make sure this Lumberjack doesn't reach his tower, and the Hog Rider is going to get a hit, maybe 2.
Wow.
No, just 1. Very close. All of a sudden we got a game, Andrew.
Yeah, this is insane. I mean, Ruben really proving what exactly you were talking about, which is that he can really do it against anyone, anytime with the comebacks.
Oh my gosh.
It's getting close. Bomber?
Bomber?
No.
Ooh.
Wow.
Hawk inbound? What does Tourist have for defense? He's got a Boss Man, a Dashing, and a Mega Minion. The Hawk does get the hit. Earthquake doesn't do it. He needs two to win.
Yeah. And so you see the aggressive Giant at the bridge, Queen in the opposite lane, knowing that Boss Bandit will take the tower, making him spend a lot. Not going to be able to get 2 Earthquakes out right now. Needs a perfect defense first, and then the first Earthquake cycled. That's really nice. AQ going to kite. Hog Rider goes in. And Juicy, you see it on his face. You see it on his face. We're going to game 5.
I mean, at least just the grand finals, I think it would be amazing. But I do love this format of, you know, the upper bracket, lower bracket, and grand finals being best of 5. It's just a little bit extra. I don't know. I feel like it also just puts a little bit less variance too. You know, it's just really the best will win this.
I mean, there's a reason why when you get into playoffs in a lot of sports or in championships, you know, specifically right now, because it is basketball season, playoff season, it is tennis season, you know, they go to these long series for a reason. The best of 5s, best of 7s in baseball, you know, best of 5s in championship matches in tennis and stuff. There is a reason for that, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It's the same reason we brought in duels, the variability, the rock, paper, scissors, all that. It's pretty hard to lean on that after 5 games in a row.
Ghost in the back. Monk at the bridge from Tourist. Tourist using a log bait here. And Ruben having to get creative here with the Void once again. Is the last set. And maybe even a Royal Giant. I don't know. No, I don't know. He already used Royal Giant, so I'm not really sure what kind of win condition we're going to see Ruben using here.
Ram Rider. Okay, I was like, what pairs? Well, he already used Balloon. He already used RG. And yeah, Ram Rider makes sense.
Yep, you're absolutely right. That does make some sense. Tourist with a Snowball. That's a great card for dealing with the Ram Rider as well. Wait.
Ram Rider gets good damage on that right-hand side, and we see good damage coming in on the left, and Tourist doesn't really have any elixirs, so some major mismanagement early on here in Game 5.
Skelly's in the middle, Monk at the bridge. And here comes the Evil Barrel and cycle already. Wow, it's a quick cycle.
And no elixir in the tank for Ruben.
Wow.
Huge. Tourist takes the lead there, 1852, 1909. Needs the Goblins surround, but instead goes to the side to get the Tesla involved. Then we get a high Monk ability. Dark Goblin perfectly placed to clean up those archers.
Okay, Void dropping down to the Dark Gob, a Mother Witch in the back. Ruben up a solid amount of damage, and based on Tourist deck, I don't think that he has, maybe he might have a big spell. Honestly, it could be a big spell last card here. That could be a difference maker.
Right, and there it is. Great call, Juicy. Fireball comes out.
Void dropping down, cleaning out the Dargob. Princess on the board. I mean, he's trying to like keep a good pressure, but the Evo Snowball with the barrel. Now that is a combo I haven't seen before.
That was huge. Evo Snowball with the barrel. Goblin still on top of the tower. Monk was taking that entire time. Evo Skellies get taken out by the Princess in tow from Tourist, and that was just a massive blow. There's the fireball. Ladies and gentlemen, Tourist is your winner of the CRL 2025 warm-up, and he plays 4 back-to-back best of 5s, 3 of which against a former world champion